Really? Must be
Yeah,
nice.
my hair is so fast.
Start. Okay, good morning. So today we are going to do a spiral perm. For those of you that did not see the finished product from the Brickley perm, this is what it looks like. I know this is a little bit curly because of the length of the hair that we had, but this is what it would pretty much come out to be for this length of hair and what we had. What I used was the metal pick to comb it out with versus the plastic pick. The metal, I think, just goes through the hair a little bit better and just lifts it up a little bit more. I like the metal more than the plastic, but this is what we got. So today we're going to do a spiral. I'm going to go ahead and show you a video first, and then we'll go ahead and show you how to actually wrap the spiral perm. So give me a second to share my screen with you, and we'll get this going. Maybe.
Clients with longer lengths who want a spiral perm design present great opportunities and potential in the salon. As a designer, your ability to work with these clients will depend greatly on your skill and expertise in performing spiral perm wraps. These clients who value their long lengths will be delighted to have beautiful spiral curls with minimal visual length reduction. This exercise will be performed in a solid form. The spiral technique is perfectly suited to the longer, unactivated lengths of the form. An alternation of tool diameters and wrapping directions creates a more natural looking result in the finished perm design. The art shows the front sectioned from the back vertically from ear to ear. The front is also sectioned with a center part. The nape is sectioned horizontally from ear to ear and wrapped in a bricklay pattern using the smaller diameter tool. Vertical partings within 1.5 to 2 diameter wide horizontal rows are used throughout the remainder of the head. Tool diameters and wrapping directions are alternated with each spiral wrapped row. In the nape, 1 diameter horizontal partings are measured using the smaller diameter tool. The bricklay pattern is used, staggering bases to avoid splits. After sectioning the nape horizontally from ear to ear, wrap the entire section using 1 diameter horizontal bases with the overlap technique and half-off base control. Position picks or short stabilizers to secure the tools. Use the larger diameter tool to measure and part the first horizontal row above the nape section. Part a 1.5 to 2 diameter vertical base parting at the right side of the row. Distribute and project at 90 degrees and position an end paper using an elongated bookend technique. Position the tool parallel to the base and wrap toward the left using the ends to base spiral wrapping technique. Fasten from the top to the bottom. Work toward the left side using the same technique on subsequent vertical bases. Measure the next horizontal row using the smaller diameter tool. Begin at the left side and wrap each tool toward the right side. Project at 90 degrees and use the same spiral wrapping technique. Work to the right side. Release the next row using the larger diameter tool to measure. Work from the right side to the left side using the same wrapping technique. Consistently project at 90 degrees and wrap each tool toward the left. Continue working toward the top of the section, alternating tool diameters and wrapping directions with each row. Consistently horizontally project at 90 degrees and maintain even tension. Note that the tools will sit in slightly different positions as you work over the curves of the head. On the sides, tool diameters and wrapping directions will be alternated within horizontal rows. These rows are also measured using both larger and smaller tool diameters. Move to the right side of the head and release a 1.5 to 2 diameter horizontal row measured with a larger diameter tool. Start at the ear and work toward the front hairline, continuing to project each parting at 90 degrees and wrapping toward the face with the spiral technique. Release the next horizontal row, measured with the smaller diameter tool. Start at the front and work toward the back, wrapping each tool away from the face. Work to the top of the section, alternating tool diameters and wrapping directions with each horizontal row. Work up to the center part and position stabilizers or picks to secure the top row of tools. Move to the left side and begin again with a 1.5 to 2 diameter horizontal row, measured with a larger diameter tool. Wrap toward the face, beginning at the ear and working forward using the same wrapping technique. Work to the top of this side, alternating tool diameters and wrapping directions. Maintain 90-degree projection and consistency in the spiral wrapping technique. Position stabilizers or picks to secure the top row, and check that all tools are properly fastened. Here we see the finished wrapping pattern. Place cotton along the hairline and saturate the hair with processing solution. Process and neutralize according to manufacturer's instructions. The spiral wrapping technique creates beautiful, elongated curls on this solid form while minimizing the amount of visual length reduction.
Okay. Do you have any opinions on what that looks like in the end? Does it look hard? Does it look easy? How does it look? No? Okay, so here's what I've got on this. There's, different techniques to everything. So that was one variation of a spiral. I'm going to show you another one. Now, one thing once you start a spiral that you have to remember is how long is this hair, right? This is a brand new doll. While you guys are watching the video, I cut maybe about 3 inches off the back of this because it was just too long and too uneven to do this with. So look at the hair in the nape. The reason why that bricklay was done in the nape is because this hair is usually shorter. this hair from the top. It takes longer hair to get from the top up here all the way down to the bottom than it does from the bottom down here. So this is why they did the brick laid version on the bottom. Now, if the hair was really long, you would be doing spiral all throughout the whole head, even on the bottom, just depending on how long the hair is. So from the nape area, how do you separate the nape from the rest of the head? Well, in the back of your head right here, you feel that bone that just sort of sticks out right about here. That's called the occipital bone. From that occipital bone down is your nape area. That's considered to be one of the most important bones in the beauty industry, cosmetology, barbering. And it's also considered to be the separation point between the crest, which is this widest part of the head up here, and the nape, which is below the occipital bone. Usually the occipital bones kind of coincide with the middle of people's ears. Sometimes it's a little bit below. So we're gonna go right about the middle of the ear here on a straight across parting to give me my nape area. And then I'm just going to put all this hair out of the way. Again, now this is a specialty wrap. This is one that you better be charging more for. Depending on the length of the hair, you may have to use more than one bottle of permanent wave solution also. So I'm just gonna bring this up and start with my brick lay wrap. So if you remember from yesterday, the brick lay wrap starts with 1 and then 2. But because I'm in the nape area here, I'm gonna start with 1. I probably could have used some larger rods too than what I have here. So I'm gonna go with 1 large one in the center and 2 small ones on either side. Remember, if I needed to measure, I would be using the rod itself to measure the thickness. We want them nice and evenly spaced. We don't want any gaps in between, and we don't want them just bunched up on top of each other either. So now I'll do 2 here. It's almost about all I'm gonna get. 2 over here. 2 large ones will work. So who's been practicing this while you're home? I'm gonna guess not a lot of you because we're not getting a lot of text messages with perms done. So in order to get the 6 hours for the day, we need to do the assignments, which is wrapping the perms this week. And then I'll have 1 more in the center here, and I'll have the back brick laid. See these little hairs like this that are kind of just there? That's when we would use what's known as a cushion wrap. And that is where we roll out to where we don't have these little hairs like this sticking out. Place another paper over the top of that and roll this back up so that they're all inside the end wrap. So now I'm ready to start the spiral. Make sure that my hair is wet. Now, because of the rod that I'm using, this is where I can use the end for measurement. So if I place this here, it's about, I don't know, 1/2 inch maybe. So I'm gonna come up with my 1/2 inch and go all the way across. Oops. So now that I've dropped that, anytime you drop something, you have to pick it up immediately. If you don't, it becomes like a hazard. So I'm gonna pick this up, throw it into my sterile container, re-sanitize my hands, and then come back with where I was at. Okay, so now that I have this about 1/2 inch, I'm gonna use this same measurement. This hair out of the way. Try to get this hair out of the way so you can see. So I'm going to use this same measurement here and just go, like the width that I'm going to take is only the width of this rod. So I'm going to place this here and come down with this piece. Because now I have the width of my rod. So pull this out at 90 degrees, which is straight out from the way that the hair grows. Make sure that you have it combed really nice and smooth. The thing that's a little different on this is the end wrap. Instead of folding the paper like in half this way, we're going to fold the paper in half lengthwise. Okay. This can come on either from the top of the strand or from the bottom of the strand, but we want to make sure we do the same thing and keep this fold right here without having that hair like smashed into it. Now it's easier if you start with this band at the top. Okay, so let's see. I always have to think how to do this. I'm gonna roll it this way. Start at the bottom of the rod. So you have the band on the top towards you and at the bottom. You want to roll it around 2 times to secure that. And then you want to roll, it's not very secure, down the rod in a spiral manner till you reach the top. Then we take our band and we secure it on the bottom. They do hang a little bit. They do have a little bit more play, but we want that to hang. If you put the rod at the top, you can do that too, but it's harder when you go to take them out because now you have to reach underneath all of the rods to pull those out. So it's easier to do it this way. If the band doesn't feel quite right and you want it tighter, you just tighten up the band. What we do not want to see is this. Let me get another one and I'll show you. So I've been holding it in a spiral, but I see people wrap like this all the time. See how this is way up on the scalp like that? That's going to be known as a candlestick. It doesn't quite give you the same hang off the scalp as a spiral does. So we want to make sure that we keep this kind of hanging off the scalp like this one, where we can move it around because that's going to give us more of a spiral curl. So let me roll another one. This is kind of dry. Now you can put the paper from underneath too if you'd like. Either way is okay. I prefer just coming down from the top. Okay. Now you can go one of 2 ways with this. You can roll one row all in one direction, and then the next row would be rolled all in the opposite direction, or you could go like every other one, rolling one forward and one backwards. We don't want to go all in the same direction on every single one because that's going to give us all the hair going in one direction, which, you know, we know that hair doesn't all go in one direction. This type of wrap will take you a lot longer to do than, you know, a 9-block wrap. I think the first time I ever did one of these, it took me like 4 hours to get this wrapped. It was really hard the first time. But the second time got easier. This will give you minimal shrinkage on the hair itself. Because sometimes when you put curls in it, you know, if you get them really tight, the hair is going to shrink up. So this will give us minimal shrinkage on that. So once you get going, it's real easy to get your hair too wide, and then you get too much space in between like this, and it's like a gap. So it's not going to give you the same amount of curl going all the way around as you would get if you took them, you know, with the right amount of hair. So that's one of the things that you just got to, you know, get used to, is taking the right amount of hair. Is there any questions? No questions. Has anyone ever done this before? Did you raise your hand, Alex? Yeah. So what did you think about it? Was it easy, hard?
Well, it was the only week when I was on campus, and I was kind of fast at them, so
Good.
I was one of the people that got to do the spiral. I didn't like it, but I like doing the brick lay more than this one.
Yeah, you know, some of them, of course, everyone's gonna like something better than, you know, the next thing. But all of these have a purpose. Like, they all do what they're supposed to do, you know, when you use them correctly. So, you know, if you're trying to do this on short hair, it's not gonna look good. I mean, it's just gonna, you might not even have enough hair to wrap. You know, so that's where maybe a brick lay or a 9-block would come in. But on long hair, this is pretty much this and a piggyback. Anyone ever heard of a piggyback or done a piggyback before? We'll probably be going over that tomorrow. But those are the ones that are going to work for longer hair. So are you kidding? In the 80s, you know, everybody had big permed hair. The piggybacks were what everybody did. And then the spirals kind of got real popular in the 90s. Because, you know, a lot of people, now when you get to the sides here, you can just go all the way across with this. So we're just gonna bring this all the way across. I remember people coming in wanting their hair curled with the curling iron in this type of curls. That was a lot of work to stand there and do with the curling iron just for them to wear it, you know, for one night. I mean, of course they were paying you, so that was okay. But a lot of times we got smart, and instead of standing there for all those hours curling, believe it or not, it was faster to wrap it on perm rods and then place them like underneath the hair dryer to dry it with on their hair to get the spiral look than it was to stand there and curl it for hours with the curling iron. Now, since I went, so which way did I go? I went forward with that side. I'm going to go backwards starting here. One way is always easier to go than the other, always. Like right here by this doll's ear, there's not a lot of hair sewn in like the rest of it. So it looks like I just have really little small amount of hair on here. Oh wait, I gotta go back. But you'll find that with people that there might be an area on their head, like behind their ears or, you know, somewhere that looks like it has a lot more hair growing than other areas. So that's kind of normal. My carding's pretty straight. So sometimes if they have less hair growing in an area, it's, you might want to take a little bit less hair just so that it fills it in and doesn't like pinch it at the scalp. Sort of what I did on this last one, it kind of got pinched a little bit. So if I would have used less hair in it, it would have laid nice. So always look at the scalp and what it looks like, because once it's processed, that's how it's going to be till it grows out. So we want to make sure that we don't have any hair that's like pinched together. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone have any comments?
Does it matter if they have like thicker hair or thinner hair?
No, the only thing that would make a difference on would be the size of the curler that you're using. So, you know, it's depending on how curly they want their hair. You know, if you put a smaller rod in someone that has thicker hair, it's going to look more curly than if you put a larger rod. And then vice versa with the thin hair. If you put a larger rod in someone that has thin hair, it may not be curly enough. It may just kind of, you know, seem like it washes out. So it really just depends on the person's hair, the thickness, and the coarseness also has something to do with it. Because, you know, coarser hair is going to look more than finer hair also. That happens. Or anytime it just feels like it's too dry, just get it wet. That's part of the reason why that one slipped out. It's just kind of dry. Remember to shampoo the person's hair before we start this. So especially when you're doing a wrap like this, because it takes a little bit longer, the hair will dry. Some people's hair just dries anyway really fast. So you can spray it down with the spray bottle. How much do you think you should charge for something like this? So the way I look at it is that you have a base price, a base starting price for a perm. So let's just say, we'll use the school. You know, the school for shoulder length hair starts at $35. And that's just a plain, I mean, that's the cheapest that they could get a perm done would be $35. So for each 5 inches, so you figure that's about 5 inches. For each 5 inches, you're gonna go up, you know, $10, $15, whatever it is that you decide, you know, that you're gonna go up. So if they're here and they've got 35 and you're coming down like this on their hair, you know, 35, 45, 55, 65, that's just the base and length. Then you're gonna have to go in thickness. So as we're going in thickness, you know, how many rods do you think you're gonna put in that hair? How long do you think it's gonna take you? Do you grab it in 2 hands to make a ponytail out of it? Or can you just get a little ponytail in 1 hand? You know, that's gonna kind of let you know if you need to use like 1 box of solution or 2 boxes of solution. And then you're gonna have to charge for that. So what you're gonna have to figure out is how much do you pay for a box of solution? So let's say we're paying $10 a box. You know, if we're paying $10 a box, then we know that it's going to take at least 2 boxes on this person's hair. And pretty much anything past, like, my hair takes 1 box, but I have fine, actually I use 2 different perms. I use a bleached perm and I use a regular perm, so actually I use 2 boxes. You know, so if that's product right there. How much of product did you just spend to get that hair done? You know, that's like 20 bucks if I'm doing 2 boxes. So you'll have to tack that price on also with the length. So, I mean, some of these you could be looking at up to, you know, $200 depending on the length of the hair. And plus the time, like how much do you want to make an hour? If this takes me 2 hours to wrap this and I want to make, say, you know, $25 an hour, I mean, I know we want to make like $100 an hour, but we need to be realistic. So if, you know, we were saying, okay, well, $25 an hour isn't too much to say we're going to be making. So a lot of shops, they have base prices and then it just goes from there. So when you're looking for a place to work, that may be one of the questions, you know, that you ask, or do your homework before you go in for an interview and just find out what the base price on some of the services start at and then go from there. Find out if that's what you want to be making. So this row was wrapped all coming, you know, forward to my left. So my next one is going to go back around to my right, which would be, yeah, going to my right. Sometimes if I do this, I have to stop and think, wait, which way did I just go? Make sure those bands aren't too tight at the scalp or twisting around the hair too much either. And we do have some ladies that come into the school that like their hair done like this. So if you get that client, they'll be here for a while. All right, I need to put this down just a little bit so I can reach. Okay, so now I need to go the other way. Now sometimes because of the width of the head back here versus the sides, as you're going around, and I think, yeah, I'm gonna have to do it this time. Wait, get your head up there straight. Oh, I don't know, maybe. So I'm gonna take my next 1/2 inch. And it doesn't have to be super, super straight, like perfectly straight, because also depending on the hair, your partings, may be a little uneven, but we do need to try to keep them as consistent as possible. Going around the head here. I feel like I may have more hair. No, I guess I don't. I felt like I might have more hair on one side, so that's what I was double checking, but I didn't. All right. So let's see, I went backwards on that one, I'm going forwards on this one. And I always come back to the right side, but since I'm on the left side, I could go on the left side and go all the way back around again. It would be fine. It's just depending on what you feel is easiest. I'm so used to just always starting on my right side for everything. I guess I got used to doing that when I was going through barbering, because they were always like, start on the right, start on the right. So I started everything on the right. Remember, there's lots of different techniques to wrapping this. This is just one of them. You want to think of any questions? Did the perm that we did yesterday, did it come out like you guys thought it would, or did it look different than what you thought it would look like? Anyone?
Yeah, I didn't do anything yesterday.
Okay. So were you on earlier when you saw the perm, or when I showed the perm, or were you not on at that time?
When, yesterday?
When I showed the perm from
Today?
yeah. Today, I mean, when I showed
know.
the perm yesterday, were you on during that time?
Yeah, I was on, but I just haven't got to do anything because every time I go to get my dumbass doll head thing, sorry for cussing, my kid thinks it's a game and she wants to yell like that all crazy. So then I'm just like, nope, I give up. I can't do this shit. So then they literally go 8 balls like nuts. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I have to do it like in the nighttime when they're sleeping. I gotta be like a night owl or something.
So for those of you that haven't been on all week, we've done a rectangle perm, we've done a brick lay perm, and now we're doing a spiral perm. So, you know, that's what your assignments are for the week. So do that, take a picture, write out your rubric and send it in to us to get the credit for it. So if you're on the Zoom calls, you know, you get your 2 hours of theory. And then if you do the operations, you get your hours of ops there. So we want to make sure, and then if you're on the 1 o'clock Zoom, actually you get 3 hours of theory. So if you're doing the 3 hours of theory and then you do the assignments, you're getting your 6 hours. This is a lot of work. I should be charging 200, huh, to this doll head. That's why spiral perms cost so much, because there's a lot of work involved. I'm only like halfway done. Let's see how much more I can get in the 10 minutes before you guys go to break, and then I'll just have to continue doing this.
So what's this wrap style called?
This wrap is spiral.
Spiral.
Yeah.
All right.
Cut out, so I wasn't sure what to ask. This is spiral.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said the rectangle perm, correct? Is that the one that we do for board?
Partial, yes.
Okay.
So for board, you're just doing like a section.
Yeah, we do the like from the bottom of the nape to look like the.
It's from the crown to the nape for board. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just for board, you're just doing like a section. You're still putting in like 12 to 16 perm rods, depending on, you know, the color of the perm rods that you're using. So that's what you're doing for board. Yeah, this is just, like I said, this is considered a specialty wrap. This is just something that's out there that, I mean, you should learn how to do it because people ask for it. So, you know, it's one of the main wrapping, because, okay, so you got to think about this. When perms first came out, it was the early 1900s, right? All women had long hair during that time. It wasn't until the 20s that women started cutting their hair shorter. So in 1920, when this perm came out, you know, this was a thing for, you know, women to do. But how are they going to wrap all that really long hair around the rod going from, you know, the ends to the base? It would just be like way too much hair wrapped up on a rod. So they wrapped everything in a spiral wrap. So this is one of the original perm wraps. And this is also one of the types of perm wraps. You know, we have the base to ends, and then we have the spiral. And those are the two that are considered to be the ones that are, you know, in the books. I mean, those are the ones we need to know, is base to ends and spiral. Or overlap technique. Base to ends is also known as like overlap technique or crokinole. And that's what we did the last 2 days, where you just put the end paper on the ends and you rolled it down. You know, it's an overlap because you're like overlapping it as you're rolling it, or it's called crokinole, or it's a base or an ends to base wrap. But this is still an ends to base wrap also. it's a spiral, not an overlap. So then in the 1920s, when women started cutting their hair shorter, then that's when they started doing the other type of perm wrap, which is the overlap or the crokinole, because now it's easier to roll the hair down, or the hair was too short to roll on a spiral. But women that still had long hair and wanted to get a perm, they had to do the spiral, because that's the only way to wrap up the long hair and have it look good. Because if you roll it on an overlap technique, and the hair is longer, the ends are going to be really curly, and the base isn't going to be hardly any curl at all, because you've wound so much hair around that rod that at the scalp, it's really a thick rod, where at the ends, you know, you're getting just the ends in there. Or sometimes the solution doesn't go all the way through, so it's really uneven. Okay, that was done. See how it's starting to like lay on top of each other now for spiral looking? Get another row going. And one thing about this too, when you're applying the solutions with this type of wrap, it's a lot more challenging, because you have to make sure you get in there and get every single rod. So some of the ways that people apply the solutions is put it in a spray bottle and just spray it, you know, make sure that it's on there on every single rod. But one of the things, if you're going to do that, you have to not ever want to use that spray bottle for anything ever again but perm solution, because that smell never comes out of your spray bottle. I did that one time with a spray bottle that I really liked, and I regretted it after the fact. It's like, oh, I should have just went and got a cheapy old spray bottle. Right, because spray bottles are kind of personal. People have a certain spray that they like, you know, to use. And I kind of really like those mister kind of spray bottles. Those ones that you just push and it continues to spray. Those are nice. Okay, so this one went forward. So now this one's going to go back. Okay, Vanessa, turn your camera on. Thanks. And with this particular wrap too, I'm using all the long perm rods. I'm not using any of the short ones yet. Now I may when I get to the top, but right now I'm not. I forgot which direction I was going. I had to double check. And on the areas of the head where it starts to curve, which is like right behind the ear, especially as you get higher up in your wrap, you want to pay close attention to how much hair you're putting in here. Because this is like where the movement comes from on the hair. And if you get too much hair in the rod and you pinch it at the base, it's when it moves, you're going to see like the holes there where the hairs can pinch, because it'll be close together instead of separated and open, like it doesn't have any curl in it. So you have to be careful with that in those areas. Well, all over the head really, but just be double extra careful in those areas. Okay, what time is it? Okay, it's just about 11. And what does it say? 10. Yeah, it's 11. So you guys can go ahead and take a 10. I'm gonna continue wrapping.
Miss Connie, is it okay if I call you right now?
No, because I'm gonna continue wrapping. Wait till we're done at 12.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it
Con-
bad?
I'm at work. Is there a way that I can get a recording of the Zoom class?
Yes, we were converting them. The last few days for the recordings, we have had the worst internet connection, and it's been kicking me off, and I've had to do it on my phone and just all kinds of other issues with it. So we haven't really been getting any good Zoom recordings. So as long as I can stay on and not have any problems, this will be converted after the class today.
Okay.
We've had some real bad issues with the internet. Ones.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Wait, Miss Connie, so is it bad?
What?
Oh, we need to talk about.
No, it's not at all.
You scared my mom. She's like, if I find out you did something, and I was like, I don't think so.
No. It's good.
Okay, now I can sleep in peace.
Yeah, yeah, no, not at all.
Okay.
We're just getting up there in hours, so we need to talk about that.
Okay.
Tell your mom not to worry.
Okay.
Where is she?
She thought you were gonna get me in trouble about the makeup.
No.
Cause she's like, what if you can't sell that? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can. And she's like, what if you can't? She's like, what if you get in trouble for it? And I was like, I don't think so.
You're good.
Oh, look. Oh, wait. I don't even know if I can flip my camera. Oh, yeah, I can. I set it up right there.
Oh, that's cute.
I just have the containers in my drawer down there.
Nice.
But I have everything up here now because the box was just too much.
It's a lot of stuff, huh?
Yeah. And I feel like if I have it in the box, like if something falls on there, like my little sister tries to push it or something, anything can break.
Okay, so I had to go get some more Permots because I ran out of all the ones that I had. So, of the large ones, they're all small ones. So I went and got some more large ones so I could finish this up. Still rolling this up and wrapping this up. We're almost getting there. Making sure that I'm checking the directions, going in the right direction each time I do a new rod. So in the video, you know, they did this parting down the center when they got to the top. So sometimes that just kind of puts like a part in the middle of the head. So what I like to do when I go down the center is do like a zigzag parting. That way it doesn't just have like a straight line. So I'll show you that. I'm almost there. I'll show you that when I get there. I got like 1, 2 more rows maybe, and I can get that going. Okay.
This is the new baby, Miss Connie.
Oh, he's so big already. Hi.
It's big.
Oh, how old is he now? He's gonna come on what, a year almost, right? Didn't you have him?
Yeah. He'll be 8 months this month.
Oh my gosh. Look at him. Look at his face. Is he upset or is he just like, what is going on, huh?
He's trying to look at my laptop. He's trying to grab it. I'm trying to my laptop.
Gosh, I can't believe how fast time went. He's grown so big already.
Yeah, he's about to be 1. Okay, fall if you want. And this one's trying to be Spider-Man. When you get up to the top too, because there's so many rods underneath, sometimes it's really hard to get these to sit correctly because they're all sitting on top of that. And the way that the head is shaped and the curve of the head now, when it's rounding down this way and then it's coming around this way, sometimes it's challenging to get them to lay right. So if you're having that issue and it becomes a challenge, take less hair. Just divide that one that you had in half and put 2 there. Because remember, we're not fighting with it. It's going to do what we want it to do. In there. Oh, sometimes they come off the ends like that too. There's no end piece on them. That happens. Did you hear that pop? Hit me right in the knuckle. That happens sometimes too. It doesn't feel very good when it happens, but it does. That's what I did that one time when I popped a clamp right in the eye. Didn't mean to, of course, but. One of the things that's really good about this type of wrap too is if you don't have your sectioning quite right, or you think the hair is not going in there the way it should, just readjust it. If you've already got it in there, take it out. If not, change your partings. Okay, I'm getting there. See where we're at here? It's coming. So, getting up to the top. I guess I could turn this down so you guys can see it. Why couldn't you tell me you couldn't see it? All right, so now we're gonna come across the top here. Now, because of the parting here, I don't want to go straight down the middle. I go straight down the middle and I want one going back and one going forward. You could end up with a part here that's kind of permanent after you process it. So this is the technique that I like to do, is come straight up from the center and just sort of zigzag this all the way to the back. So I have a zigzag parting here in the front. Now I can come in and readjust this according to the size of my rod. Oh, that one wasn't good. Okay, I want to come that way, and that way. There we go. So I have a zigzag going on here. That's pretty good. Let's go that way. Okay, so now I can put my rods in according to my partings. I think I want to come more a little bit this way in the front so that I don't end up with such a, yeah, she can go to the side. Okay, so now that I see where I'm at, now how much hair do I have here? So I have probably one more row right here, and then I have this row. So I'm just gonna clip this off. I don't want to mess up my parting that I did. And I have this row here. Let's see. Let's work on that in a second. So this one went forward. So now this one's going to go backwards. like that. Didn't quite lay right there. And I don't want to process that and have a very strange looking front hairline with the way that it's going to curl. So I'll just come down and take a smaller piece. There we go. It's a little better with the front hairline. So now here, I'm going to come in and take just a there we go. It's a lot of little flyaway hairs on this doll. If this was a client, we would need to cushion wrap every single piece that has a flyaway hair on it. It's a little large, so I'm going to just make this a little bit smaller for this last one right here. Okay, where's my... want to stick this piece right here. Now, when I'm up here where my zigzag part is at, since I started, you know, in the front and I was coming back, I think it would be easier for me to start in the back and go forward just because of where I'm at in the crown area. So I'm going to take a couple of different partings within this little zigzag area. So this would be number one. But if it's easier for you to start in the front, go ahead. Try all the different ways. So let's see, this one I need to go forward. So just gonna start spiraling this down. And then here will be number two. And that little triangle for my zigzag. Putting 2 rods in that spot. Might be easier for you to stand in front when you're rolling this way. I was just doing it. It is easier for me, but I was just doing it this way so you could see. Yeah, I still think that's too big. I'm doing is looking at the scalp. What does this hair look like at the scalp? And that section was just way too big. It had too much hair in it. It wasn't laying nice and loose. And that hair was really compressed together at the scalp. Oh, not for that. There we go. That looks better. So this triangle has them going forward. My next triangle, I'm gonna put backwards, just because it makes a little bit of a difference on the top. So if you don't part your hair in the same spot every day, you're not gonna see all the curls going in one direction on the top. So by staggering them going front and going back, you get different directions on the top of the hair, which for the going around the head, it's okay to go all in one direction and go back, but I just think that this makes for a better end result doing it this way. So now when I'm up here on the top, I'm going to be bringing them back for this next 2. Pushing off that because that was a big piece that was coming down the wrong direction. Okay, so now here I'm going to go forward with these next 2. Okay, I don't like the way that part looks. I'll just redo it. There we go. So then this last one, I'll just go back since the other two are forward. I'll just bring this one back. Okay, and there's one side. Whew. All right. Now on this other side, what time is it? Oh, I got enough time to finish. Okay. So now on this other side, we'll sort of do the same thing. Not sort of, I am. So I'll take this around. I may have to do 2 rows just because of the amount of hair I put on this side after the zigzag parting, but see how this goes. Yeah, it'll have to be 2 rows because of the zigzag parting. All right, so go ahead and spread this down. Let's see, this is all coming backwards. So I'm gonna go forwards. So instead of starting in the front, I'm just starting back here. It doesn't really matter where you start as long as you just do it right. But since I was coming around this side, I'll just come this way. Actually, I can put a little bit more hair in that. It's been a while since I've done a whole head like this. Is there any questions or comments? Are you tired?
Miss Connie, I have a question.
Okay.
What if someone has like super duper long hair, like it's to their like booty cheeks, and they like want a perm, and they're like, I really want this perm, but I don't want you to cut my hair.
Well, okay. So somebody that has hair that long, that hair has been on their head for a really long time, right? So probably like the last 4, 5, 6 inches of that hair. What kind of condition is it in? Because if it's not in great condition because they haven't cut it forever, and you perm over the top of that, chances are that it's going to be really dry. It's going to be really hard to put a comb through it. Okay, if it's in good condition, but they still haven't cut their hair for a really long time, that last little part on their ends, more than likely, maybe the last inch or so, it's going to get damaged. I mean, it's going to be damaged from the solutions.
And when they do it, does it look, can you tell that it's gonna be, like, whenever you're done, is it gonna be noticeable that it's damaged?
Yeah, because the ends will look super frizzy.
Mm-hmm.
So, should I drop my comb again? Where'd it go? Oh, good. I mean, think about like what the bottom of a broom looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Right on the ends, it could look that way.
Oh, okay.
Just depends on, it all depends on what kind of condition their hair is in to start with. If you're not sure what it's going to look like, you could do a test curl. If they're really insistent, but most people, I mean, 99.9999999, right, % of the time, when someone gets a chemical service, whether it's a perm or a hair color or whatever they're getting done, they get a trim to go along with it. Because those ends on the hair are always just a little bit more damaged, or drier, and people don't want to have that dry stuff on their head or damaged stuff on the ends. In my opinion, after you get your ends trimmed, you could probably use another trim. It's just, hairs like that. So usually that's how it goes with chemicals.
I have a question on how would you know if it's like done improperly? Like what would be lines?
So for the rolling, is that what you mean? For rolling or for processing?
No, like for processing.
For processing. Okay, so for one, you always want to start with reading manufacturer's directions. Okay, see what their time is, because they always have these little suggestions on there, like do not leave this on for more than 20 minutes, or do a test curl after 5 minutes and every 5 minutes after that. So you always start with manufacturer's directions. Okay, the second thing that you want to look at is about every 5 minutes, you want to unroll the hair at about, I'm going to say 10 minutes. Well, depending on the hair. If it's color treated, I'd definitely go with 5. But you want to unroll it without putting any tension on it about 1.5 turns. So you don't unroll it and then push it back and look for a curl. You just hold it and sort of unroll it at the same spot. What you're looking for is like that little S pattern. You'll see like a little wave that comes into it. Some of them are going to be closer if it's a smaller rod. They're going to be wider if it's a larger rod. So you're going to be looking for that development. If it's not in there very strong, then it needs more time. But usually if it says 20 minutes, most people are done within the 15 to 20 minutes and don't leave it on any longer than what it says. And that's what most firms say, maximum of 20 minutes. I mean, there's different ones, but that's a common time, 20 minutes. So, so many times we get stuff and we don't read the directions, but it's important to read the directions. And I'll tell you why. Before I even got my license, I went to go look for a job because I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get my license. I'm going like Monday. So like the week before I went to go get a job. So the guy was like, oh
yeah, you know, come on in. He hired me. I went in on that weekend just to go see how things were going, and you know, how the shop ran and all this kind of stuff. And he kind of put me to the test and had me put this perm solution on this girl after he rolled it up. So I didn't read the directions, and you were supposed to mix these two bottles together, and I didn't do it because I just sort of thought that all perm solutions were the same. Well, her hair didn't work after she sat there for all that time, and her perm didn't take. And at the end of the day, he said, well, yeah, after you get your license, don't bother coming back. I was heartbroken. So it is really important to read those directions and follow them, so that, you know, you get the best results, because they're all just a little tiny bit different. For the most part, they're kind of the same, but each manufacturer, just like in hair color and any kind of chemical service that you're using, or even a styling product, each manufacturer sort of has all these little tips and tricks that make, you know, their product better than the next product. So yeah, we really need to pay attention to those so we don't end up messing something up like I did. And then after he re-rolled it and did it again, I was still there. And when she went to leave, she walked up to me and goes, "This is what I'm supposed to look like." I was like, oh, sorry. It was terrible. My first experience in a shop, and it wasn't even a good one. So I never made that mistake again. I was going back, so I'm going to pull this one forward. Oh no, I'm going to go back with this. So it'll lay over the top of the other one. Try to picture these two when you're up here figuring out which way it's going to lay when it's dry. This is in the crown, so it's probably going to go back over the other hair. So I was just going to roll this one back to go over that other hair. And then when I get to this one, I can bring this next one here forward. Remember, heads are not shaped the same. Oh, come on. There's like these two little hairs that just make that section too big. And you think I could get it out? I'm running out of rods in this bucket too. I better hurry up, huh? See, that definitely needs a cushion wrap there. Looks terrible. Okay. So this section right here is just a little bit too thick. And this is the section that's part of the parting. So right about here, I'll need to divide this and do a couple extra ones. Okay, so that went forward, so now this is going to go back. So somewhere on my partings I got off, or my sectioning is going around the head, I got off. But this will all fit together And remember, you're going to find this in real life too, because heads aren't all shaped the same. So you might find that you put more rods on one side than the other, and that's totally normal. Just don't, like if you're doing a rectangle perm and on one side you have 8 rods and on the other side you have 3, that's not a good thing. But if you're off by just, 1 or 2 in a certain section, then that's okay. Because that just means that that person has more hair on that side. See, I have 3 over here that I'm off a little bit on, so that's not bad. Now, if it was 5, I'd be questioning myself. This is practically taking me the whole 2 hours. So if you guys are practicing this and you're working on it for like 4 hours and you're halfway done, it's pretty good for your first time. This is the part when you're doing something like this that you start to get really excited because you're like, oh, I've got just 1 more row. And you start to get really excited because you're almost done. Don't get sloppy though. You want to make sure that you're still doing a good wrap, even though it's your last row. Fix my bands because they were too loose. Okay, last row. So over here, this first one was going back. So I want to do completely opposite on this side and bring my first one coming forward. So I'll do 2 going this way, just like I did on the other side. And then I'll do these next ones going backwards. Last one. So for this last one, I'm just going to bring it backwards because that was forward. This one's going to come back. Okay. Bounce back on here. That was coming out, but we'll pretend like it's not. If they weren't laying right, you just adjust the bands so that they'll lay right up here. But now that we're done on the top, instead of having that part, we just have it all kind of together. So there's no definite part. So no matter which way we comb it, we have the finished spiral wrap when we're done with that. So yeah, now I need a massage on my back. But there you go. So this is what you guys are going to attempt today. Is that nice spiral wrap there. So it's 12 o'clock. It took me 2 hours for that. So there you go. That's it. So what you guys get to try today. Have a good lunch, and I will see you back at 1 o'clock for theory. Not that.
I'm gonna call you Miss Connie.
Okay. How the heck did I get that?
Clients with longer lengths who want a spiral perm design present great opportunities and potential in the salon. Designer, your ability to work with these clients will depend greatly on your skill and expertise in performing spiral perm wraps. These clients who value their long lengths will be delighted to have beautiful.
Oh gosh, I couldn't figure out what I was doing. All right, do you guys have questions? If not, I'll see you at 1 for theory, okay?
For the, when we sent in the picture, I ran out of rods. It's only.
Okay, so, well, I would say take that picture and then take out some of them and finish the top.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks good. That's it. All right.
Miss Connie, line 10.